Okay, here we go, page 203. You should all be ready with this now. Write a Delphi application, save it as, oh no, I'm not saving it anything, okay, we just leave it for now. This application accepts any small sentence and counts the number of vowels as shown and display the total number of vowels. So we're going to display every single character here, and if it's a vowel, we'll put a vowel in the rich headed with a #9. So here's a very interesting problem. The number of vowels are going to be displayed in the label called label 1. We'll clear our rich edit each time. I've put the code on the IT data drive. You should have it now already on your H drive and open so we can start. So we're going to get our sentence from edit 1, and in our button click we go and store that into a variable called sline. So we say sline colon equals edit1 dot text. Now we've got to count. If we're going to count, we need a counter, not so. Our count, integer. So we declare a variable called our count. We're going to count the vowels. So we'll set our count equal to 0. We always have to initialize our counters before we can do anything. Then we can use a loop to go through each character. Question is, what kind of loop shall we use? Shall we use a for loop? A for loop means we're going to go through every single character. Are we going to use a while loop? A while loop means we're going to stop if we find a condition. So maybe not necessarily go through every single character. If we use a repeat loop, well, we might not go through every single character either if we use a repeat loop. There's an option not to go through every single character with a while and a repeat. But with a for loop, you have to go through every single character. And it makes sense. If we're going to count the vowels in a string, we have to go through every single character. So we will use a for loop, and whenever we use a for loop, we have to have a for loop counter. So we're going to say for k. You can call your counter inum or whatever you wanted to call it. I always use k because it's, you know. We're going to go from the first character, and it'll move through each character right until we get to the last character, which is the length of sline. And then we will put begin and end, because we don't know, we could be doing hundreds of things after that in that for loop, or we could just be doing one thing. Doesn't matter, we're going to use begin and end to make sure that we don't make any mistakes. So if we do more than one thing, we have begin and end. If we only do one thing, we'll have begin and end. Just to be on the safe side, put begin and end there after your for loop or after your if statements. Now, we are going to count vowels. So we're going to say if sline character number k, if it's in a set, we're going to make a set of things with square brackets. Sline character k in that set of brackets, and we're going to put our vowels in there. with single inverted commas. Guys, you learn this now, you got it forever, right through to grade 12, which you will need this trick. If S-line character K is in this set, A, E, I, O, U, takes a while to type out all those letters properly. Once you've done that, we've got to sit and look at this, but of course we're going to use begin and end. If you do begin and end, we're making sure that the if statement is going to be covered no matter what. We have to use begin and end afterwards. It's always good practice to do it. We know that if there's only one thing we're doing, we don't need begin and end. But just in case there's more than one thing, we will put begin and end there to cover ourselves. If we look carefully at this line here, we'll see S-line character K, but what are we comparing it with? Capital letters. What if S-line character K is a small letter A? Well, we should upcase it then. So upcase S-line character K. Very important to do that. Otherwise, you might get the wrong result. If there's a small characters, a small O or a small U, you won't find in this set. But if we upcase every single character, then we're good. We're using upcase here because guess what we're going to do? We're going to display every single character. In the instruction it says, well, look there, they're displaying it one character, one line at a time. But if it's a vowel, we're going to display the character and the vowel. We're also going to increment a counter. We want to count the number of vowels, so I'm going to say increment, R count, fine. We're also going to display the character plus the fact that it's a vowel in the rich edit. So it says we must display the character and the vowel and the word vowel in the rich edit, so I'm going to do that. Because if it's a vowel, that's what I'm going to do, isn't it? So I'm going to say rich edit 1 dot lines dot add S-line character K, but we're going to join that to a #9. Remember, #9s are tab stops, and we're going to join that to the word vowel, a string, vowel, the word in double inverted commas. It's vowel with a small letter, one L, I think it is. It's lucky I put begin and end there, because I'm doing two things if the character is in that set. I'm incrementing my counter, and I'm displaying that character with the word vowel separated by #9. Now, what about if it's not a vowel? We're going to have a serious problem if it's not a vowel. We have to have an option, so we're going to have to do else here, begin and end. If it's not a vowel, we don't want to display the word vowel with it. So let's go and highlight this. Control C, copy and paste. It saves you time. And we're not going to put the word vowel there if it's not a vowel, so we're just going to display S line character K in the rich edit. And this is all happening in the for loop, one character at a time. From character number 1 to the last character, which is the length of S line. That number is returned by length is an integer. Right, what are we going to do after that? Now we must remember there's lots of ends here. Let's go put a comment here saying end of procedure. And this one is end of for loop to go through every character. And this is the end of if statement to separate vowels, to count vowels. So we know where we are if we put our comments in. We have to do that for Pat, so get used to doing that. It certainly helps you to so I'm putting here display consonant. The opposite of a vowel is a consonant, isn't it? And over here I'm going to say count vowel and display vowels. So I'm just putting a comment there. Right, but we're not at the end of our procedure. There's still one more thing that we have to do in this button click event. Take note, this is all happening in this button one click. Only got one button click event here, and everything's happening there. We left, what about our poor little label here, label 1? Label 1's got to show the number of vowels that there are. So we'll do that. We'll say label 1. Before the end of the procedure, after the loop has happened, when you see that for loop is finished there now, after the loop has happened, we are going to display saying label 1 dot caption equals, we're going to display R count. R count is an integer, so that int must be converted to a string because anything on the form is a string. So the label must have a string on it in its caption property. Join that to the word vowels to keep it simple. And there's your program done. Run your program, and we will add a few things to it just now.